Revolutionize your health. We have been enjoying some great information over the past couple of weeks. We've been enjoying some great information about what we all need to do to get healthy and to enjoy a better quality of life. And tonight is no exception. We're going to continue tonight talking about a very important aspect of health, and that is our exercise. If we're exercising enough, what we need to do to increase that so that we can stay fit and keep our bodies in tune and keep our joints healthy. We're also going to invite you guys to join us during the week on Monday nights. There is a recovery from loss of life session that meets on Monday night on Zoom at 7 p.m. and that is led by the pastor Kevin Rogers. And if you haven't signed up, we still are inviting you to join. You can come on board from next Monday night at 7, and that's Zoom meeting. And then there's the Nedley Depression and Anxiety program that has been occurring on Thursday evenings at 6:30, and this is an in-person event. So come to the church. You see the address, the Capital City Church at 1801 East 49th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. And we're asking you to come to join us for that. There's so much mental health issues that have been taken place over the past couple of weeks and months. So we want you to be well. Just to remind you that this Sabbath afternoon as well, we're going to have an in-person presentation at the church by Dr. Devoy Murray. Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer, and then I'm going to tell you more about our special guest tonight. We want to thank you so much for joining us, and we invite you to share the link. We are going to be live on YouTube and also on Facebook. So share the link. Lots of good information for us to learn, glean, and improve our lives. Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer, inviting the Lord to be with us tonight as well. Father in heaven, we come before you just so grateful, so thankful for another day, for your protection, for preserving us, for watching over us, for providing for us. Lord, you have indeed made us. Our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you've given us the ability to move and to see and to walk and to talk. And we thank you for our 5 senses. We want to ask for your presence to be with us tonight. We want to ask for the discipline that we need to make the changes that we know we should make so that we can keep healthy and so that we can maintain mobility as we age into our late stages of life. We thank you, Lord, for blessing us and for protecting us and for loving us. We ask you to forgive us now. We thank you for your Son, Jesus, who you sent to die for us. Be with us in the form of your Holy Spirit as we present tonight. Be with the speaker and Mr. Davis, and also help him to be able to convey his thoughts clearly and that we would understand everything that he is saying. And this is my prayer. I ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen. So our speaker tonight his name is Mr. Neal Davis, and I'm so excited to have him to be a part of our 30 Days to Revolutionize Our Health. I have heard him present before, and it was indeed a blessing. He is a graduate of Oakwood College, which is now called Oakwood University. 1994, he graduated with a BA degree in history, and he also had a minor in communications. So he kind of switched gear at some point in time after having a weight lifting session with a friend, and this kind of drastically changed the trajectory of his life. And he developed a passion for health and fitness. After working as a fitness trainer with elite athletes and changing people's lives through inspiring transformations, Neal returned to school and he was able to earn a Master's of Science degree in exercise science and health promotion from California University of Pennsylvania. He is also a wellness experience leader for the Central Ohio YMCA at the historic Ward branch. And he has been an educator as well for 26 years as a teacher, as a coach, and as an administrator. And he currently serves as an adjunct instructor in the Natural Sciences Department at Northern Virginia Community College, which is in Woodbridge, Virginia. He also has a Wellness Wednesday and Fitness Friday segment, and I want to invite him to be a part of the conversation right now, because I am very interested in his Wellness Wednesday and Fitness Friday segments. And it says here that you also have, it's on social media platforms, and you tackle various subjects, including health and wellness. Good afternoon, Mr. Davis.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Very well. Welcome
Good.
to our program.
Excellent.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the Wellness, Fitness, and
Wellness Wednesday and Fitness Friday segments?
Friday, and how do you do this on a Zoom platform so we can become a part of it?
Okay. The Wellness Wednesday segment is something that is done on various social media platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, where I share information on different subjects in wellness. So we know that we're looking at, there are several dimensions of wellness. So I might deal with mental health one week. Next week might deal with nutrition. The next week might deal with your emotional health. It might be something in regards to motivation. It might be something in regards to rest. So there are different topics that are tackled, diabetes, cancer, of course, all of the chronic illnesses and diseases as well.
Yes.
And how we can do it with hopefully combat these diseases and do something about these health disparities that are plaguing the African-American community. The Wellness Wednesday segments deal with that. So for this particular Wednesday, for example, I dealt with waist trainers, which are one of the fads that people are doing and trying to slim their waist.
Yes.
So I dealt with dealing with
I've
waist
heard about that.
Yes. And
my daughter told me I need to get one. Should I get one? Is it
temporary?
It's
similar to what a corset did back in the day. So that's what I deal with in regards to that. On Fridays, there's a Fitness Friday segment that deals with something whether it's something on what to do with the workout, and tips on that, on how to do specific exercises, things of that nature. So those are the two segments that I've really tried to focus on, making sure that I can do all that I can to help people to be their healthiest self.
Awesome. And I know that that's your passion, that you want us to desperately to be the best version of ourselves that we can be in health and wellness. So we welcome you tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you.
And as we talk about, I need to move it, because most of us don't really want to move. We resist move and resist change, but we know how important it is. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take the floor and tell us all about what we need to know about health and fitness and moving it.
Oh,
thank you so
excellent.
much.
Okay, no problem. All righty. Now, okay, if we can get this screen up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Like to move it. Now, let's talk about exercise and why we should move. So we see the statistic there about the in regards to what 1 in 4 adults sitting for more than 8 hours a day. One of the programs that I deal with extensively is a program called Exercise is Medicine. And generally speaking, that's where someone has been referred by their doctor for various reasons. It may be that they're obese. It may have something to do with diabetes. It may have something to do with cancer or something of that nature. And these are people who are living very sedentary lifestyles. So we know that without movement, we're looking at many different issues. We know that we're talking now about increased risk for cancer and heart attack and diabetes and so many other health issues that come because we're not moving. And when you start looking at 1 in 4 adults, 25% just sit. So even though we're working maybe at a desk in order to make money to help supposedly have this quality of life, that's supposed to be this great quality of life, the lack of movement is a very serious issue, especially when you consider the fact that we are not exercising as well. So we're having this lifestyle where we're sitting for hours and hours and sitting in meetings and sitting at a desk, staring at a computer. And then we go home and we don't exercise. So it's compounded by that fact. And then when we start talking about nutrition and poor nutrition, that makes it even worse. So we want to make sure that we are exercising and we're moving. It's not just about trying to fit into a particular dress size or a suit size. We know that it deals with health and our quality of life. 7 reasons why you should move every day. And we're going to focus on each of these sessions. Okay, so you can see a few of them. It helps with weight loss and maintenance, can provide more energy, can help you get better sleep. We'll do a little bit of a focus on each and every one of these. Okay, the first thing, providing a sharper memory and thinking. Very important. So we know it's talking about endorphins here that you get during exercise. Helps you feel better, as it says. We're looking at better concentration, better mental sharpness. All of these things are things that we're looking for when we start talking about as we age and we start realizing that, okay, we don't want dementia, we don't want Alzheimer's. Exercise and movement is going to help combat that. So your chances of being someone who's suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's drastically go down, according to studies, if you're moving more and you're exercising more, and that's a part of a regular routine. So very important to make sure that we're doing that. Also, been shown to stimulate the growth of new brain cells. That is very important with the stimulation that we need. We know that we need things like crossword puzzles, or we're reading books, or we're listening to podcasts and things of that nature. And all of those are great to make sure that we're becoming higher learners and better thinkers. However, exercise is also going to provide that extremely great benefits. We want to make sure that we're doing that as well. Helps with weight loss and maintenance. We see the young lady in that picture. She was 84 years old, I believe, when that picture was taken. Helps with weight loss, helps with maintenance. We know that many different problems come about as a result of carrying too much weight. There's something called metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is characterized by someone with high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and then a male with a 40-inch or more waist, a female with 35 or more inches on their waist. Metabolic syndrome definitely leads to a 40% greater chance of diabetes, heart disease, many different chronic illnesses that come about as a result of it. So while we know that body positivity is a big thing these days, and that's great, I want people to feel good about who they are, to feel that they're beautiful, or to feel that they're handsome. However, when we start looking about the health risks associated with carrying too much weight, now that becomes a problem. So we want to make sure that we are keeping obesity at bay, that we're not being obese and having all of the problems that come about as a result of that. All righty. Next thing, activity can provide more energy. That's something we see so many people are complaining about being lethargic. I'm so tired. I have no energy. It seems like I have no energy to do anything. 2 of the things that can help. One is a dietary thing. So we start looking at eating more whole grains, eating more healthy fruits and vegetables. Now we start looking at the benefits from the carbohydrates that provide the energy. So many people think I need to drink coffee, or I need to drink soda, or I need to do these little 5-hour energy shots to get my energy up. If we're consistently showing exercising and moving and having movement, now we start looking at having more energy and having a more energetic lifestyle. And I know that's the type of lifestyle we want to live, because we know that when we start to go downhill, generally we start going downhill because we're not eating properly, we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not very energetic, there's very little movement. So it's important to make sure that you do this for the energy benefit that you can get as a result. It can help you get better sleep. That's a huge thing. There's so many people who are suffering from sleep apnea, and often it is tied to their weight and obesity. Exercise can help you sleep better. You're going to sleep better with exercise. Study after study has shown that. And so it's important to make sure, again, we started talking about these benefits, the energy benefit, how it's going to make your brain and your mind sharper. And now we're looking at getting better sleep. It aids in developing healthy muscles and bones. That is a 50-year-old person there who's trained, somebody who's over the age of 50. And we see the muscular development that they have. So we want to have healthy muscles and bones. When we start talking about brittle bones, now we start talking about osteoporosis and different issues that come with that. We start talking about people having hip injuries and things of that nature. So it's important to make sure not only to develop our muscles, and the benefit of one of the benefits, of course, is that aesthetically, it's something that's appealing to the eye, but we want to have healthy muscles and bones. And that's most important. All right. We want to be able to handle those physical stresses of everyday life. We want to make sure that we're not at a point where walking from a parking spot to go shop becomes a chore, or you can only stand up for so long because your knees are so bad, or your hips are bad, or your back is bad. And it was directly related to just simply not exercising and not eating correctly. So we want to make sure that we're doing that to develop those muscles and bones. Good for pain reduction. Okay. Pain reduction. We know that pain management is a huge issue. And why? Because now we have this opioid epidemic that has resulted from, I need something to manage this pain. And now people are becoming addicted to it. And now as a result, we start having all of these other issues that have come about. So it's important to make sure that we're doing that as well, to not have to live with chronic pain, my knees hurt and my back hurts, or this hurts, because what ends up happening is you compensate your bad knees, and generally speaking, you're going to have a problem with your back as well, or there's going to be a problem with your hip, because your body is compensating for the pain that you're experiencing. So we want to make sure that we're exercising to help reduce pain. Can brighten up your mood. Who doesn't want to be in a better mood? We see how happy this particular couple looks. You can have a much better mood. The endorphins that you get, the dopamine that comes about, that high that you get. We have people who run, and they talk about runner's high. I know there's an excitement that I get from lifting weights and how it makes me feel, the movement involved in it. So we know that it can do a great thing to brighten up your mood, because we see what's going on politically. We see what's going on socially. We know that justice doesn't seem to be something that is for all races, and it can be frustrating. You could be having a good day, and then next thing you know, there's a video of somebody who's unarmed, who is going through, who's been unjustly treated, or whatever the case is, and it can frustrate your day. Well, exercising and movement can brighten up that mood, even if it's just temporary. We know that that's something, and when we combine that with the spiritual benefits that we get from being a Christian, now we start looking at having this mood brightened up. Now we start looking at living the quality of life that we'd like to live, that God intended for us to live. People with chronic pain, and we see the link between chronic pain and a lack of depression. That's another thing that we know, that our mental health is very important now. We know that anxiety and depression is happening to more and more people. I'm seeing it more and more with clients, where I'm talking less about nutrition and exercise, and we're dealing more with mental health, just because of the problems that they're having associated with it. So that's very important, again, to brighten up our mood. Exercise is something that can help. Types of exercise. So we're dealing with our cardiovascular exercise, or our cardio. So our walking, our running, cycling, aerobics classes. So you have many different things here. Team sports, if your body can handle it, that's great as well. So all of these are great exercises that can be done. Cardio for men can decrease chances of erectile dysfunction. Again, I've been talking about quality of life. That is something that can definitely affect the quality of life if blood flow becomes a problem, or we start looking at having to take certain pills, and then there are side effects that come with that. So that is something that we want to try to avoid that as much as possible. We know also for ladies, there's more of a positive body image associated with it. So it's important, again, to make sure that we're getting our cardiovascular exercise. Burns calories. Takes 3,500 calories to gain a pound, and that can be done quickly. If you're someone who does fast food and you eat, let's say, a Big Mac and a large fry and you have a large drink, you're almost at 3,000 calories right there. And let's not talk about the dessert. So it's very easy to put on the pounds. It can be more difficult to burn them off. So this cardio helps to burn those calories and then elevates that fat use for energy. And now we start talking about, again, what we talked about before, the benefits, the energetic benefits that come with it. So that's important. Your immune function. We know with COVID, having a strong immune system is something that helps to fight it. All right. As we get older, our immune systems begin to slow and they're reduced. And with this movement, now we are combating that. So that's very important that we do that. Improve self-esteem, your mood, and your sense of well-being. So we know that self-esteem can definitely be highly linked to how we look. So we can talk about being children of God, and that's a great thing. We can talk about the fact that our ancestors are powerful and things of that nature. And even with all of those positive things that we have going for us as people, it still can be difficult if you're carrying too much weight and you're feeling less attractive as a result, or you're feeling that you are less of a man or less of a woman because you can't move the way that you want to move, because your body is beginning to break down. So exercise has been known to give that sense of well-being. It gives you that sense of feeling better. You're looking forward to it. All right, what exercise am I doing today? Or how many miles am I going to do today? Or when I ride this bike, the feeling that I'm going to get. You see if I can go, how much longer can I travel at the speed at which I'm traveling? So whatever it takes, it's good to get this movement to combat these problems we're having with anxiety and depression. So very important in doing that. Improves long-term quality of life. I've been stressing quality of life all throughout this presentation. Improving brain volume and your memory. So we talked about that as well. With quality of life, it makes no sense to work hard all your life. You're working behind a desk, you're moving up with your company, or you're moving up in the world, and then you retire, and then you're sick. You're taking a bunch of pills. Your back is hurting, your knees are hurting, you're in chronic pain, arthritic, you have osteoporosis, and now this long-term quality of life that you're supposed to enjoy after you've been retired is now not the quality of life that you want at all. You're having to have people help take care of you. You're less independent. All of these things are things that we don't want. We see what it talks about with improving quality of life for survivors from cancer, from stroke, from heart attack. So all of that is important as well. We hope that these things don't happen to us, but if they do, our chances of having a better quality of life because of our cardiovascular activity goes up exponentially. Resistance training or strength training or weightlifting. Let's talk about that. Some of the benefits. So we're going to go over these as well very quickly. We see some of those benefits there. All right. Let's look at this first one. Again, that's Miss Ernestine Dickinson, I believe is her name. The oldest bodybuilder on record in the Guinness Book of World Records. And I want to say that picture, she was about 80 years old. We see how great she looks. You see that stat about between the ages of 25 and 30, men and women begin to lose muscle mass. So it's something that starts to happen. We know that starts to happen, but it doesn't have to happen. We can still fight it by utilizing the strength training. We can still fight it by doing something with resistance training, by trying to build up our muscles and becoming stronger. Okay? Next thing, improves your body composition, your weight management, your body image. When we start talking about your body composition, the size of your waist. Remember, I talked about metabolic syndrome, 40 inches or more for men, 35 inches or more for women. If you are consistently there, along with high blood pressure and high blood sugar, now again, we're talking about 40% higher risk of getting heart disease, stroke, various types of cancers, diabetes. All of those go up again exponentially, 40% more of a risk just from those three factors. So we want to make sure that we have more lean muscle, we have less body fat, less tissue, fat tissue in our bodies, because we know what problems come about as a result of that. Strengthens your bones and protects your body from injuries. We see the strength of this young lady here, who's a senior. We see the studies talk about hip to bone density. I remember my late grandmother, when she fell, she broke her hip. She had weak, brittle bones. She was downhill after that. Your independence can definitely go down from having weak bones. And we want to make sure that we can protect ourselves from injuries. We want to make sure that we're not having to have major problems because of a fall or something of that nature. We know those types of things happen. So again, the everyday stresses of life, just everyday things, being able to, again, like I said, walk and to shop, being able to cut your grass, being able to garden, to do things of that nature. We want to have those strong bones to be able to have that quality of life that we'd like. All right. Cardiovascular disease risk. Okay. So your risk for heart attack, very important to me. My late mother passed away from a heart attack. My late father passed away from the complications of a stroke. So studies have shown lowering high blood pressure, lowering cholesterol. Again, metabolic syndrome, I want to drill that in your head. We talked about it. High blood pressure, high cholesterol or blood sugar, 40 inches or more waist for a man, 35 inches or more for a woman. So I'm not saying if you go weigh yourself today and say, I have all three, I'm going to die tomorrow. But we want to make sure that we are keeping a handle on it and trying to start something. If we can start tomorrow to say, okay, I need to make some changes because I don't want this to affect my quality of life. All right. With strength training, we have to know our equipment. So we have machines, your free weights, your dumbbells, your barbells. I'm going to talk a little bit about each four. So the pros and cons of machines, we see safe and less intimidating with machines. There are many who just say, I could look at the picture at the gym or the weight room, and I can just kind of use that machine. So there are pros to that. If that's all that you did, that would be fine. So there are cons as well. It doesn't mean that machines are bad. But if you just simply want to say, hey, I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to fit into a bikini. I just want to be active. I want my bones to be strong and my muscles to be stronger. Machines are fine. All right. But that's only if you have access to a gym or you have the money to be able to afford to have these machines in your house. So if that's something that's available to you, that's great. Have at it. There's so many benefits that come from it. All righty. Dealing with resistance bands. All right. These you can get from Ross, Dress for Less. You can get it from Target, Walmart, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. All of these places, Amazon, have resistance bands. And depending on how much resistance you want, there are ones that have more resistance that we would use right in here. The ones that she has around her leg is a bit different. And now we start talking about that resistance to help you in doing certain leg exercises and things of that nature. All righty. So the resistance bands, we see the young lady on the right, for example, is working her biceps there with resistance bands. That can be done on a machine. That can be done with the blue resistance band that you see there. That can be done with a barbell. That can be done with a dumbbell. So the same movement can be done with 4 different types of equipment. We see the resistance bands there. That gives her a little bit more resistance in what she's doing there with her squat. So she's doing a basic squat. Or for those who might say, well, my knees are bad, I can't go down as low. All right. It would be kind of like a deep knee bend or a knee bend. But you can use the resistance bands to kind of help in regards to that. Stability balls. Again, you can find these Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Target, Walmart, Amazon, your sporting goods stores. All of those places have these resistance balls. They're good for your back. You can see with the young lady on the left doing her squat, how her posture is good. We see that that's working to help strengthen her core. We see the young lady on the right is doing a crunch. Instead of having to use a bench or utilize a bench, she can utilize the stability ball and work her core exercises and strengthen her core there. All righty, dumbbells. We know that they can be purchased. Again, Walmart, Target, your sporting goods stores, Play It Again Sports. I don't know if they have those in Indianapolis. I know they have it here. I've had it in Florida. I had it in Virginia when I lived there, and also now in Ohio where I am. So if you have those places where you can buy used, that's great as well if you're not necessarily trying to get new ones. All right. And then we have barbells. So that's something, if you're going to a gym on a regular basis, you might see barbells there. And usually they start at 10 pounds and go up to 110 pounds. The ones that are already set as far as their weight. The other barbells, an Olympic bar is 45 pounds. So when somebody's doing a bench press, for example, it's 45 pounds, and then you start adding on the weight from there. Your curl bars are generally going to be around 25 pounds, and they're specially designed to call it an easy curl bar. All right, and that's another example of a barbell. So your pros and cons. And again, if you only want to use barbells, that's great. Some of the cons, a spotter may be needed. So if you're trying to do something like a bench press or something of that nature, it's kind of can be difficult to do sometimes without a spotter if you're trying to lift more weight, for example. So those just some of the pros and cons that you see there. And again, free weights are great for you as well. Don't have a problem with that. If you only wanted to use machines, like I said, that's fine. But if you just want to use free weights as well, that's fine as well. No problem with that. All right, some leg exercises. Squats. Great for your glutes. Great for your quadriceps or your thighs. Great for your lower back and your core as well. Squats have so many benefits. You see the same exercises being done with the barbell. That's the Olympic bar I told you about. So that's the 45 pounds. And there's probably another 25 that he has added on there. With dumbbell squats, you see that she starts, some of the things are recurring themes. You're going to see that they are in shoulder width apart. And then when they go down, they're not dropping their head or neck, bringing extra tension to their neck. So as far as the movement is concerned, it's important to do that. And then they breathe out when they come up. So very important. Many different types of squats that I'll be referring to. Goblet squats. You see where it's held there. They hold that weight closer into their chest and they go down. Same thing. The shoulder width apart is there. The dumbbell sumo squat works the inner thighs. So many people say, what can I do for my inner thighs? Well, that's the goblets. The dumbbell sumo squat works that, where you hold the dumbbell. You'll notice her arms are straight throughout the movement. She drops down. She breathes out when she comes up. So that shoulder width apart, that's a recurring theme you're going to see. Don't drop your head. That's another recurring theme. Very important when performing squats. Strength training for your legs. So we have the leg press machine. There's a machine there. The leg press can also be done on a machine where you are adding weights and generally like 45-pound weights are added. The leg extension machine works your quadriceps or your thighs. The leg press works your thighs as well as your glutes as well. So we know that gravity tries to take things down as you age. These exercises are there to help fight gravity. All right, we want to defy gravity. Lying leg curls. Okay, the lying leg curls, as you see, is working the back of the leg. So the hamstrings as well as the glutes. So again, these lying leg curls are good. Your legs have so many muscles in them. The quadriceps, for example, have 4 muscles. So your legs are generally going to be stronger than your upper body. And so These exercises are very good for it. The lunges, you see that there. You might be someone who says, I have balance issues. Well, you can hold on to something and still do the movement where you go down. You'll see at the bottom of that movement that they're keeping their body nice and straight and erect. They're not leaning forward. Their head isn't leaning forward. And then they breathe out when they come back up. All right. You see the hip abduction and the hip extension. With the hip abduction, you're working the hips as well as working your glutes. That can be done on the, you see the cable there with the weight. But if you don't have access to that, you can do those. I would recommend doing maybe sets of 15, maybe 3 sets. You're really going to feel a burn when you do it. So that's something you can do. The hip extension is working your glutes or your behind, and then also the back of your legs or your hamstrings. So these are very good exercises that can be done. The calf raises work your calves. There are people who say, gosh, my calves are so skinny. I want fuller, more defined calves. Well, these are exercises that can be done to work it. Now, upper body exercises. So developing your upper body, becoming stronger, some exercises we can do. The dumbbell chest press and the barbell bench press. Now, I often hear women say, I don't want to strength train because I'm going to look like a man. I don't want to look like a man. I can tell you the people who are women and look like men, not only are they lifting much heavier weight than what the average woman is lifting, they're also taking certain substances in order to develop those bigger muscles and to look, to have that more mannish look that you have many women are saying they don't want. So a dumbbell chest press, again, gravity, as you get older, men and women, gravity tries to take things down. We want to make sure that we can defy that and lift things up. So it develops your pectoralis major and minor, or your chest muscles. So that's a very important exercise, a good exercise to do. Your dumbbell chest fly. And again, that's working that muscle. And if you can also think of that tank top muscle, that when you're wearing a tank top and you see the little fatty part that can gather there, the chest fly and the dumbbell pullovers are excellent for that particular exercise. It's something where you want to make sure that you're breathing. If you can see that the gentleman is on a bench there, you can do the same thing on one of those exercise balls. If you feel that that might be a little bit more comfortable to do, you can do the same exercises as well as that dumbbell chest fly. It doesn't require a bench. You can do it with the stability ball. All right, your back. Now, I often hear, what can I do for a fatty back? So your latissimus muscles, or your lats for short. These exercises, the lat pull down works that. So that, ladies, that area right underneath the bra strap, that develops that particular muscle. All righty. And so the reverse grip lat pull down, we see with the lat pull down, it's a wider grip, and you're going to go out wide and pull it to the top of your chest. You breathe out as you do it, and you squeeze your back, and then you come back up. With the reverse grip, you're bringing it in more, so it's going to work your back as well as your biceps. So that's something else with a machine that can be done for your back. Dumbbell bent over rows. So again, for people who say, well, I don't want to go to a gym, these bent over rows are good for you. They work that same muscle that I was just talking about. You want to do sets of 15, at least 3 sets of 15 would be good. If you have light weight, then you might want to do sets of 20 to 25 to get some type of the results that you want. Essentially speaking, if the last 3 or 4, if you're saying, let's say I'm going to do 10 and I'm not feeling it after I've done 10, then that weight is too light, or you need to do more repetition. So it might be I need to do 15. Where at 12, 13, 14, and 15, now you should start to feel something where you're saying, okay, yeah, this is getting a little bit more difficult. This is the type of, these are the type of results that I want. The machine row, again, is something with a cable done at a gym where you are working your lower back. It's going to strengthen your core and your lower back. Dumbbell rows. Again, this can be done for, and the upright rows can be done for those who are saying, I'm going to work out at home, I don't want to go to a gym. You can do that. You can do the same movement with resistance bands. The upright row, you can do it with cables. Those work your trapezius muscles, or your traps for short. If we think of how stunning Michelle Obama looks in a strapless dress, for example, and we see the traps development that she has. So these are all good for your back. Your shoulders, your shoulder muscles or your deltoid muscles. We see what's called a lateral raise, or it's also called a side raise. What you're going to see is that she is not going above the shoulder area, so she's not coming up like that. She wants to come up right up to shoulder length. And again, that can be done with resistance bands. That can be done with dumbbells as well. The front raise works the back of the shoulders. Arms stay straight throughout the movement. We can bring them up. We're breathing out. We squeeze our shoulder muscles as we work them. We don't drop our head or our neck, because now we're bringing undue stress and pressure to that area. And we definitely don't want to do that. Righty? A dumbbell shoulder overhead press or an Arnold press. So the shoulder press, we see as you go up, you get that full extension and you're breathing out. And I'm squeezing that shoulder muscle and I come back down to the start. With the Arnold press is an exercise developed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was one of the most popular bodybuilders of all time, also the most successful as far as winning Mr. Olympias. And so that's an exercise that he developed. And depending on your range of motion, because if there's some shoulder issues that you have, you want to definitely be careful about your range of motion in regards to these particular exercises. Bent over dumbbell rear lateral raises. So they're working the back of your shoulders. You notice the person, again, I talked about the recurring themes, shoulder width apart. He's not coming up with the move. He's just moving his arms. So he's bent over and he moves the arms up, keeps them nice and straight, doesn't go past his shoulder area. And then you have the barbell military press. So that's something that can be done as well. Now we start talking about our biceps, or the guns, as people like to say. Preacher curls. Looks like you're praying. And so thus the name preacher curl came about. So that's something that's being done. That can be done with dumbbells. It can be done with a bench as well. If you put a bench at an incline, you can lean over the bench and do the preacher curls with that as well. So these are great biceps developers. And so that would be something to think about. Speaking of thinking, the concentration curl comes from the statue of the image of the thinker. You see the person has the back of their arm is on the inside of their thigh, against the inner thigh, and they're not moving that arm. They simply are just straightening, bringing the elbow up, curling the exercise, and bringing it back down. So it's very important to keep that arm in there nice and secure. And that's very important. The second image is actually a tricep exercise. It's supposed to be dumbbell curls. Don't know how that got there. So with the concentration curls, we want to make sure that we can add that. Again, that can be done at home for those who want to work at home instead of going to a gym. Dumbbell triceps pullovers, the back of the arm. So when people are waving and asking, what can I do about this? When I wave, I see that fatty part moving there. So the dumbbell triceps pullovers, we did the pullovers before where I talked about developing the muscle for the chest. With that, the arm stayed straight. With the triceps, the elbows bend, and then you extend them. All right. And these triceps pull downs, you can see the muscular development in that young man's triceps. Very good exercise, has to be done with cables. However, I'll deal with some more that you can utilize at home if you want to work out at home. Your abs or your stomach. So if you're trying to develop your stomach and saying, hey, I'm trying to lose some of this weight, oblique curls are good for your obliques or the love handles. You'll notice her chin is up. She's going with the opposite elbow to the knee. So it's the elbow to the opposite knee. She's working her obliques there. Done on a yoga mat. Great for your core and great for your obliques as well. Reverse crunches. You see the starting spot where the person is now bringing the knees and brings the hips slightly up. Those are great for lower abs. Ladies, if you've had children and are saying, I'm still trying to get rid of the little pouch that has come as a result, the reverse crunches are a great exercise to do for that. I'd recommend trying to work your way up to, let's say, if you're just a beginner, 8 to 10, and then work your way up, let's say, to 12 or 15 or 20 or 25. Okay. Sit-ups. We want to make sure when we're doing our sit-ups that we're coming up, keeping our chin up, and making sure, even if you have to put your foot, let's say if you're somebody who works out at home, under a couch to keep them held there. Or if you want to work out with your spouse at home, to have him or her hold your feet as you come up and work that, develop that strong core. All righty. Push-ups. So you have no equipment. You say, I don't have anything. All right. You can do push-ups. They can be done if you're just getting started, like the gentleman on the right, or the young lady on the right, where she is on her knees. If you're saying, I'm not even ready for that, they can be done up against a wall. So you can do that as well and start from there. That's a great way to develop your muscles, to build stronger muscles, and to do some great resistance training as well. Now, what is your motivation? Why? Why do we want to move? Right? Clean bill of health. That's the main thing we want. We don't want to have metabolic syndrome. We don't want our doctor telling us you're diabetic and I have to put you on medication. We don't want to have to take blood pressure medication. So we want that clean bill of health. Quality of life. I stressed it from slide 1 all the way now to this last slide, where I've talked about having that quality of life, living life the way we should, living life the way God intended for us to live, being able to work hard and then to enjoy our retirement with a clean bill of health, to look better in your clothes. Again, we know that's just an added benefit. It is not the cure-all. It's not the main thing, but it's good to look better in your clothes and you feel better. So that's important as well. Stronger and leaner. We talked about having strong muscles and what that meant and how important that was, and having strong bones. Maybe you're someone who says, you know what, I'm not really into doing a lot of resistance training. I want to run a 5K, or I want to walk a 5K. That can be your motivation to say, okay, I want to strengthen my cardio. I'm going to spend more time out in nature. I'm going to run a little bit. Motivate your friends and family. Maybe you come from a family where food is a very big thing and most people are not very healthy. And you say, you know what? I want to make this change. You have many people who want to do it academically and say, I want to be the first one to graduate. I want to be the first one to get an advanced degree. I want to be the first one to get a PhD, or I want to be the first one who didn't go to jail, or whatever the case is. You can also motivate your friends and family by being an example of what healthy living is all about. Reversing a trend of a family history of poor health. So, and talking about that as well. So chronic illness and chronic disease has run rampant in my family, even though most were not drinkers, most were not smokers, many were vegetarian, but still not eating pork and shellfish and all of the other things that came with that. But still, we had a lack of movement, still ate too many sweets, still didn't eat enough fruits and vegetables, even though we were from an island and loved fruits and vegetables, still didn't eat enough of it. And so that's very important as well, to make sure that we're reversing those trends. And then to live long enough, if you're someone who doesn't have grandchildren yet, or your grandchildren are just born and you want to see them graduate, I want to see them get married, I want to see them reach certain milestones. All are very important. And I want to make sure that we are doing all that we can to move, to move and to move. That song in the movie said, I like to move it, move it. And it was a very catchy tune. And it should be more than just something where in watching the movie, we're excited about the song or the song makes us tap our feet. Let's actually do something and move today. Very, very important. All righty. I believe I'm at the end of this portion of the presentation. I believe there may be some questions.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you.
Neal. So,
You're welcome.
I mean, great information. And just on my journey, I think everyone has that point at which they realize, okay, I need to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And for some, it's like for ladies, you have a baby and
Mm-hmm.
maybe your legs start to rub where they weren't rubbing before,
Okay.
or some people may see a picture of
Uh-huh.
themselves. And that kind of was my motivator. Earlier this year, I took a trip to the islands and I took some
Okay.
photographs
Mm-hmm.
and in a bathing suit on the beach. And as I came home and I looked at the photographs, I was like, no, we're not going to
Okay.
go down like that.
Right.
And I immediately, I came back and got into the gym. And because I am not someone who likes to push myself very much,
Okay.
I got a trainer.
Okay.
So, but what has been amazing to me is just figuring out just how, or just finding out just kind of how weak I am. Do you find that ladies are just naturally super weak compared to men, or it's just because we're not training at all or not doing weights that we tend to just start off at a place that's way down the road, below where a lot of the men are? And give us some motivation in terms of I look at that 84-year-old lady and I'm like, I'm not anywhere close to there, but I don't even know if I could do what she's
And she didn't
doing.
start working out until she was in her 50s. So this is not someone who had been
Yeah.
training all her life. She
Yeah,
started
she's
working out in her
amazing.
50s. So I want to say she was 53 when she started. One of the
Okay.
things I think it really deals with their attitude toward it. So I used to teach math,
Yeah.
and I had students who were bright students, but they hated math. Their parents didn't do well in math, and so their parents said they would
Yeah.
say, "My parent says it's okay. My mom says it's okay because she didn't do well in math."
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how often I showed them how to do fractions and decimals and percents in their head. It might as well have been Greek to them. So it didn't matter if I
Yeah.
worked with them and I worked one-on-one and we did it. And they said, yeah, I did it. And then get on the test and freeze the anxiety that came from it. And so we
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
has to do with an attitude. So I'm sure we've seen where people's attitude towards something can definitely have a
Hinder the
negative effect.
progress.
So if you
Yeah.
have test anxiety, for the most part, it's going to be very difficult to do well on tests because you're worried about how it's going to be. For the person
Mm-hmm.
who is anorexic and thinks that they're fat, their mindset is that I look fat. It doesn't matter that they're skin and bones. That's what they think they are.
That's
If,
why it's an illness.
if there's someone who feels like they're dealing with imposter syndrome, they've been they've had a promotion at work and they're wondering, do I really fit here? Am I good enough?
Yeah.
Am
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
able
Yeah.
to do this?
Yeah.
The people with the fear of public speaking, am I going to be able to do this without messing up? What are they going to think about me? What are they and how they look at me? The same thing
Yeah.
applies to our fitness. We have people who have shown that they are not quitters. They stuck it out through whatever the most difficult class was in graduate school. Mine was
Yeah.
anatomy and physiology and exercise physiology, two most difficult courses that I took in my master's program.
Okay.
But I knew it was something that I had to do.
Right.
Same thing happens. You made it through med school, but
Mm-hmm.
and you did it even though things were so difficult. You made it through law
Yes.
school even though it was difficult. You made it through whatever. So many things that were difficult, you knew that you really wanted that. Like, I have to get this degree. I have to do that. We have to look at this as the same thing. It just
Yeah.
can't simply be, well, I still get attention. My husband still thinks I'm pretty. My wife likes me the way I am. She says I'm her teddy bear, whatever the case is. All of those things, great that they still love you and appreciate you.
Yes.
But the numbers don't lie in regards to the metabolic syndrome that I talked about earlier. So the
Right. Yes.
motivation above all should be health. So for some,
Yeah.
you don't want to be in a two-piece bikini ever again, or you're not trying to get into the little black dress. I understand. Just walk. If that's all that you can do that. But don't just say, well, I'm not good at it. Oh, I don't want to do it. I quit. I give up. That type of thing.
Yeah.
You are not a quitter. You've been able to be successful in so many other areas of your life. It's just a matter of looking at this the same way. Because you look at it as it is something I want to enjoy, but right now I don't enjoy, but it's a necessary evil, so to speak. And I will do what I have to do
To
be
get where I want to
consistent with
go.
this. And to reach the goal, I will set a goal that is a reachable, attainable goal, and I'm going to work and to make sure that I achieve this goal. It won't be that I didn't pack my clothes and, I can't do it. Oh, there was a meeting and I couldn't do it. You're going to make sure that you do all that you can to get these goals. Denise, question about women going through menopause. Continue to gain weight. Can be very frustrating. We know that hormonal issues can lead to weight gain, but we just can't simply say, well, I'm still gaining weight even though I'm exercising, so might as well not do it. We know that doesn't work. We know an analogy, for example, would be voting. Well, hey, I voted for this person to be in president. I voted for this person to be in Congress, and yet and still, look what's happening with Roe v. Wade, or look what's happening with this. All of these things are still happening. Do we stop voting? Or, well, my child has been having some issues, and I've tried this. I took this away, and I took that away, and I spend more time with them. I did all of these different things, and yet and still, and I'm a prime example of that, because I sure know that I gave my mother plenty of headaches growing up. But
look at you now.
You can't give up on your child. You don't want to give up on your marriage. If you're having problems with church, you don't want to give up on reading the Bible and say, well, I read the Bible and yet and still I'm not living this life that I want to live. We can't give up on it, even though there may be some temporary setbacks. Hey, I'm doing this. I want to at least still be consistent. Even though I might not get the results that I want, I have developed this habit of exercising so many times a week. I feel myself getting stronger, although I don't see it on a scale. Although my clothes aren't fitting the way I want them to fit, I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing to try to make myself healthier. Even though I might not right now get the results that I want. So even though it can be frustrating, we don't want to give up because there are just too many benefits, as you can see that I talked about, that come from moving.
And let me just ask you, so how many times a week do you recommend that we, just from your experience, that we do something physical? And the other question is walking enough? Because I know like my trainer, for instance, he doesn't really think that walking does enough. So he likes the stair stepper thing where you're climbing stairs, which you can literally only do 5 minutes and then you're so tired. So what do you recommend in terms of, I know getting started in walking is good, but as you go on your journey?
I think everybody should strength train. However, I know that there are going to be some people who say, I just don't want to do it. I would much rather you walked than to do nothing. So the more things that you can do, the better off you're going to be. So you're going to have, walking is not going to give you the stronger bones per se that you get from strength training. It's not going to develop the muscles, but at the very least will keep you moving, will burn some calories, provide you with an opportunity to maybe walk with a friend or something of that nature. I would prefer that. So the CDC recommends 150 minutes a week of moderate to intense activity, at least. So whether that's 30 minutes, 5 days a week, and someone might say, I just don't have that much time. Understood. Yeah. 35 minutes, 4 days a week, right? We want to split up in 3 days a week, however we want to do it. That is what the CDC recommends at the bare minimum. Now, when we start talking about, all right, I'm going to vacation in Jamaica or to where you're from, the beautiful island of Barbados, and I want to get to this particular weight, well, walking isn't going to cut it. You're going to have to lose some pounds. You're going to have to really put in some work in order to be able to do that. But if nothing else, walk at the very least. So there are seniors that I work with who I try to get them to do some strength training. But if it means, if I see them for an hour and we do 45 minutes of walking and 15 minutes of strength training, I'll take that because that's what their body can handle at this point. The knees are bad, the back's bad. There are all these different problems. They're not going to be able to make it through an hour of strength training. So
Yeah.
At the very least, walk. But if you can do more, then
Do more.
let's try to do more.
Yeah. No, my parents are in their 80s, and one of the things that I told them, this is just from my perspective as a physician and just
Mm-hmm.
seeing what I see in terms of um, obese individuals, people who have the metabolic syndrome, which I actually lectured on metabolic syndrome on Sabbath afternoon,
Okay.
and the risk, how that moves you towards diabetes. What I was going to ask is, I personally thought that for people who can afford it, that it's worth it to invest in having a trainer. We spend our money on a lot of things, and we do a lot of different, things that we don't actually have to do. But one investment that I think that will pay dividends, down the road, is even if you don't have a trainer for an extended period of time, just to have a trainer for 4 to 6 months. And the reason I think it's helpful is because I have learned so many things about just not what not to do
Mm-hmm.
as I use the weights, what I should do, how I should sit, posture myself in order to preserve my joints.
Okay.
Just simple stuff, like I was doing lunges yesterday, and he had to correct me on how I was doing the lunges so that I don't injure my knee joints. And it was just a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff that we don't think about when we're exercising. And I think
Right.
people kind of overdo things, or they hurt themselves just because they don't know exactly how to do the weights. What do you think about that?
I would agree with that. I happen to know an excellent one in Ohio.
Mhm.
Um, but no,
I wish you were
seriously speaking,
closer.
when if there's something that I need, so let's say I know how to do an oil change, there may be certain things that I just have to go to a mechanic to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I might know how to do certain things for my hair, but it may be, okay, I'm going to a wedding. I usually do my hair. I want to look really good for this. I'm
Yes.
going to go to a
Get it
hairstylist.
done. Yeah.
And you invest because you know that person has the expertise and
Yes.
you're going to hopefully get the result that you want.
Yeah.
For those who say, I want to go out to eat. You generally speaking, unless you're just doing something quick, you want to go somewhere where hopefully the food is going to be good. They're going to take their
Yes.
time, have good, fresh quality ingredients, that type of thing. Same thing
Yeah.
applies with the trainer. You want somebody who has that knowledge base, who studied it, who understands the science, who
Yes.
understands how to train anybody. One thing I'm proud to say is I can train a child. I can train a senior citizen who is immobile. I can train an
Wow.
athlete who is trying to better their strength and their speed and
Hmm.
their agility. You have to be able to know how to train everybody. And
Yeah.
that's important as well. So you don't want a specialist someone who only knows how to train bodybuilders, and you're
Yeah.
coming in as a novice and saying, all right, lift all of this weight. Come on, let's go. And yelling at you, screaming at you. And that's the only way that they know how to train. So
Maybe
it's
that's
important to
my
do your
issue. I
homework as
have a
well.
bodybuilder.
So, right, to not just say, well, oh, he's fit, she's fit, they must be
Yeah.
good. So you want to be
Yeah.
able to see, let me see what they have done with people who have a similar body type as me, somebody who's a beginner. How well have they done with these types of people? If you're a senior, all
Yeah.
right, how well have these people done with seniors? Or join a silver sneakers class.
Hmm.
Most seniors are going to be able to get a free membership to many different places that offer that. You can do some resistance training, that type of thing. So it's
Right.
important you have to do your homework. It can't just be, oh, I hired the fit person
Hmm.
to be my trainer, because they might not know how to do well with your body type, where you are, as a beginner. You have some people who only know how to do people who are exceptional athletes, or people who are trying to,
Mm-hmm.
become these
Right.
bodybuilders. So that's
Yeah.
important as well. But I would invest in a trainer if you could. I definitely, if you have questions, if you're concerned with, and then also somebody who knows, if you say, hey, I have these 3 issues, and they
Okay.
know how to adjust to say,
They
okay,
can help
well, instead
it.
of doing this exercise, I'm going to do this because I see you have an issue with range of motion in your shoulder. Or, oh, you
Right.
have bad knees? All right, we'll do this instead of doing that. You don't want someone who only knows how to do a one-size-fits-all approach
Right.
to training.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about massages?
Massage
I
are
have,
excellent for
yeah,
recovery. That's
yeah,
something you
yeah,
definitely want to, especially if you're working out regularly, to add that into your regimen. Very
right.
important. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, was that the question that Denise had? I saw a question.
No, Denise's question was, it had to do with what is better,
Okay.
running long term, like running outdoors versus running on a treadmill.
Okay.
What's better for a person's body long term?
Okay.
Thank you, Denise.
So I will admit that I don't like running outdoors. Well, I don't like running, but I'd much rather, I can run on treadmill and I can listen to my music,
Yeah.
or I can do whatever, and I'm in the comforts of that treadmill. There are other people who say I'm bored to tears running on a treadmill. I'd rather run outside.
Mm-hmm.
However, eventually we start talking about long-term wear and tear on the knees. It is very
Mm-hmm.
important, if you're going to be running on the pavement, you invest in some high-end high quality
Running
shoes.
shoes.
So your
Yeah.
running shoes, and maybe even get fit for the soles. I have
Mm-hmm.
all of that, because all of that is important. Um, and so it may be that you're spending $130, $140
Mm-hmm.
plus on these
Mm-hmm.
shoes, but it's going to be
Yeah.
good for your knees, going to be good for your back. So that's very important. It may be something in looking at your gait,
Mm-hmm.
GAIT, or your stride, that maybe you get something to kind of look at what your stride could be, because that could also cause issues as well if you're running improperly and wondering, well,
Okay.
how do I know how to run properly? So we want to find out information on specialists who can look at your gait to make sure, if you're going to be doing running outside, that you are running properly, to
Mm-hmm.
avoid having that damage on your back, avoid having that damage on your knees, and so forth. Could it happen
Okay.
as well running on a treadmill? Yes. So it may be that with your running, as you get older,
Mm-hmm.
if you start experiencing knee and back problems, you might want to transition to something else.
To
All right, I'll
cycling or
do some bike
walking.
riding, or yeah,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So
Yeah.
that's something else that you can look into as well. So it's a matter of knowing your body and saying, as much as I like to run, all right, the wear and tear on my knees are starting to become a problem. I'll switch to this method of
Yes.
cardio.
And just along that same vein, I noticed you had on there like train for a 5K or do a 5K. I, you know, I have mixed feelings about running just because
Okay.
I've seen people who have attempted to do half marathons and marathons, and then they come down with these long-term injuries and they have
Mhm.
problems with their ankles, they have problems with their knees. What is your take on um, how you can best preserve your joints in terms of, if you're going to run, how many miles should you run? And just in terms of what you should do, whether you should run a marathon or
Right.
just the 5K, what's better in the long term?
I, again, am not a major proponent of running. Not saying
Okay,
there aren't benefits.
right.
A couple of things that we need to take into consideration. If we're planning on doing that extensive running, there's a
Hmm.
certain way we need to eat. If you're carrying extra weight, even if you finish the marathon,
Hmm.
that's extra wear and tear on your joints. So the way
Yes.
you're eating, are you getting enough rest? Um, Maybe getting some sports massage to kind of help with recovery. Are
Yeah.
you spreading out your run so that you're not running and doing too many miles on too many
At the
consecutive
same
days?
time. Yeah.
All of those types of things are important. So for those who are saying, look, I like doing marathoning, I want to continue to do that. If that's going to be the case, you almost have to become like an athlete. The same
Yeah.
way an Olympic athlete might train, that's how you're going to have to eat. Um, that's how you're going to have to sleep. That's
Right.
the type of training that they do. How do they spread out their training to prepare for this marathon, to make sure that they're where they need to be? What other types of things am I doing? Is there medication I'm taking that could have an ill effect on me? Am I getting enough
Hmm.
water? Making sure I'm not
Water.
dehydrated. All of
Yeah.
those things factor in
Hmm.
to doing that type of thing. Again, I'm not a huge proponent of it, but for those who say, hey, that's what I enjoy doing, I get that runner's high. I don't really start to feel it until mile 9 or 10, or whatever the case
Hmm.
is, and I'm in that zone. I understand. But if that's going to be the case, then you can't carry that extra body weight. You can't have all of those different things that can cause the problems, the wear and tear on the knees, and cause issues with your back, to where now you start looking at having to have knees replaced or hip replaced, that type of thing.
Yeah. So what about, like, as you are ramping up your exercise or your exercise routine, the soreness that we experience after we've done a workout, does that ever go away? I mean, are you expected to just always be pushing yourself to the point that you always have some soreness the day after?
You'll always
or
be
do you
sore.
get to the point? Really?
Yes, it's always there. Now,
What?
the way it feels. So I am sure after your first workout with your trainer, there was a soreness that you had. And I'm sure you were saying, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, please help me, because I don't know a pain like this. I walk up the stairs and it hurts. Oh, my legs. Oh, I laugh. Oh my God, my abs hurt from that. That type of soreness when you've gone, I went on vacation, I didn't do anything for a week, and I come back, the soreness, oh my gosh, is at a level 10. But I know it's a good thing. And we know anything worth having is going to require, there might be some pain involved, things of that nature. In order to have a child, there's going to be some pain involved.
But
so in order to get that blessing, that joy, that pain is a part of it. There's nothing you can do.
But does it ever go away though? Like, do you get to the point where you can you just kind of get to the point where you have all the muscles that you want? You know, like, you go to medical school, you get a degree, you graduate, okay?
Well, it's just like lifelong learning. I'm sure after you got your medical degree, you didn't simply just say, oh, well, I know what I'm doing now. I did residency. No. All right. I don't know if you do surgery. I've done so many surgeries. I've done so many examinations. I no longer need to read any medical journals.
We can never stop.
Which may be long and tedious and probably boring. I don't need to go to any more conventions and medical conventions, because I know everything that there is to know. The pastor with the PhD who is teaching the other pastors has things that he's going to learn about the Bible. The professor, there's always something that you're going to learn. In marriage, in order for your marriage to be successful, you can't just simply say, well, in year one, he was happy just being fed and this, and that was enough. She was happy getting flowers, this and that, and that was enough. And say, all right, we were successful year one. I don't need to work on it anymore. We no longer need to talk because I've shown I can talk.
I get the point.
So anything worth having, we are going to have to continue to do it and to continue to learn. And it's what it makes us better. So the soreness won't be, oh my gosh, I can't climb up the stairs, but the soreness will be, okay, I got in a nice workout. I feel that soreness and I move on from there.
Okay. I did not know that. I really thought the soreness was gonna go away.
It's always there. But it's a good, for me, I love that feeling, especially when I haven't taken a break for whatever reason, whatever the case is. I love that feeling of soreness. Now, when I say, oh my God, when I'm walking upstairs and I've got a great leg workout, I feel it, but I'm not walking upstairs 24/7. All right, it's a temporary discomfort, and I go from there.
Okay, I'm not there yet, but I'm hoping that I'll get there where I can embrace the soreness. Okay, in terms of sit-ups versus crunches, is it necessary to do the sit-ups, or are the crunches just as effective?
Just as effective.
Okay.
And it's not just simply, let me do hundreds and hundreds of sit-ups or crunches and I will miraculously have a flat stomach.
Okay.
Your diet, I know it was move it, but your diet is very important in regards to that. And then doing these other exercises and burning these calories. Strength training, you're going to burn more calories than you ever get from doing cardio. So unless you're like a soccer player who's running back and forth, or you're playing basketball, for example, the strength training is going to burn more calories, and then also burn more calories after you're done doing the strength training. So very important to do that as well.
And as you touched on diet, and we talked about diet a lot in the last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of losing weight, and you mentioned the fact that there are vegetarians in your family who still ended up suffering from certain diseases because they just didn't consume animal products, but they still were consuming maybe too much carbohydrates.
Right.
What is your take? Like when I've been doing my own research, and you listen to the experts, and the whole paleo diet is a big thing right now, where people are losing a lot of weight using all protein, a lot of animal fat. So they're like, bring on the bacon and the eggs,
Right.
and no, very low carbs. Let
Well,
me
so
hear
was the
your
Atkins.
take.
Atkins diet was successful too, and then he died from a heart attack from consuming his type of diet. As believers, we know when God said, "I'm giving you every herb with which to eat." We
Yes.
looked at a combination of things were involved, but we look at the ages of Enoch and Methuselah and Seth and Adam and so forth, and Noah. And after the flood, he said, "I'm now allowing you to eat meat." So we see Noah,
Yes.
950 years old. David died as an old man at 75. So we know the book with the blue zones, how the people who are living over hundreds of years and are
China
healthily
studies.
living the hundreds of years, so not taking all this medication, we know what type of diet they are generally eating. The more plant-based food you have, the better. So yes, chicken tastes good, and burgers are good, and for those who are pork eaters, I'm sure pork tastes good, and shellfish and all of that. However, the health benefits just aren't there. All of the studies show it's high in cholesterol, it's bad for your heart, and generally speaking, you're going to have a bunch of chronic issues that come about as a result of it. Can you lose weight with diets? Yes. Your general diet should just be eating more fruits, more vegetables, more whole grains, less fried food. If you're doing those things on a consistent basis, you're heading
in the right
towards
direction.
a road of a higher quality of living in regards to your health.
Yeah. I really think it's always important to emphasize and re-emphasize that, because there's so much information and misinformation out there about what we're supposed to eat. And it's very confusing when people see that, certain people are losing weight and maintaining certain weights, getting off of, carbs and getting on the protein. And I believe in a low carb diet as well, but one where you're taking in more plant proteins and like the cruciferous vegetables and the fruit and stuff,
Yes.
instead of substituting for all the meats
Yes.
that they are using in order to, they're saying get rid of carbs. I do believe that carbs causes problems. So I do, well, unless they're complex carbohydrates are probably healthy.
Right.
But the problem with the vegetarians is that we tend to substitute, or we pack on the carbs.
Right. So many simple carbs. So
too many simple carbs.
Right.
Exactly.
We have
macaroni and cheese and
a dinner
potato.
at church.
Yeah.
At church. And
At
the
church.
dinner is white rice and macaroni and cheese. And sister such and such makes the best macaroni and
potatoes.
Cheese. And sister, and the mashed potatoes and the white potatoes. And for breakfast, I can eat 2 hash browns. I won't have any sausage. I'll eat 2 hash browns. Or whatever instead of the eggs.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
The simple carbs is the problem, because you get the quick spike in energy and then boom, the crash.
Yeah.
But if we're eating the complex carbohydrates, the cruciferous vegetables, those dark green leafy vegetables, and getting all of the benefits that comes from that, now we're talking about being more energetic. And if we add the movement to that, now our day is a totally different type of day.
Yes.
And then we throw in sleep, getting good quality sleep, everything, it begins to change everything. It can change your mood, how you deal with your spouse, how you deal with your coworkers, how you deal with your friends.
Yeah.
So very important to make sure that we're doing that.
Okay. So let's end with a challenge. What challenge do you want to give us? We got all the information. Every night we've been trying to have like a challenge that we can end with, in terms of, like, the first one was, we're going to drink more water, drink half your ideal body weight in ounces. and try to do that consistently. And then I started to drink water, and I got off of drinking out of bottled water. And, we realized you need to use like a stainless steel container because of the microplastics and stuff. What challenge can you leave us with tonight as we move forward that we can consistently implement to improve our standards of health?
Okay, I'll start with since we're talking about movement, the CDC recommends the 150 minutes of moderate to intense exercise per week. So how can I move more? So whether it's I'll take a 10-minute walk during lunch, or I'll do this, or every so often I'll get up and do some walking and come back, and I can add up my time. I might not have the 30 minutes to get whatever done because my child has this practice, or this happens, or I have a meeting at church, or whatever the case is. How then can I get that 30 minutes in? I'll do some push-ups at home, or I'll buy, that stability ball and the resistance bands, and I'll do something there. YouTube has a plethora of information. There's so much that can be done there. As you said, maybe possibly hire a trainer. Whatever it is, we want to try to move more. So the goal is 150. That's an attainable goal. 150 minutes of exercise each week. How can I get that in? Let me do something like that. When church is over, all right, now that the weather's getting better, all right, I'm going to go to the park and we're going to go take a walk. Or something of that nature. And that can be a way to get it in. Or I'll do something on Sunday morning and spend more time. It can save marriages. I'll spend more time with my spouse and we'll talk. Or I'm going to go on a walk with my kids. They come in, they lock themselves in their room, and the relationship is not what it used to be. All right. We want to be more active as a family, and they might resist it at first. Hey, we're going for a walk. We're just going to walk and talk about life, what's going on in life. So
I like that.
That's a good way to become, to move more, and then also to improve or strengthen the relationships in our lives. So,
amen.
Very important.
I like that, Brother Neal. So 150 minutes, that's the challenge for tonight.
Yes.
That we all start to work on getting 150 minutes. And honestly, that's just 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week.
Correct.
It sounds like a lot of minutes because it's over 100. But when you break it down, it's 30 minutes 5 days a week. Is that correct? Is that my math?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's see if we can start to put that into practice and improve our quality of health. I want to thank you so much for your presentation. It's so good to see you again and to hear you. And I wish you were closer by so that we could actually utilize you on Sunday mornings and do some group fitness. But we'll have to find someone else to do that.
All righty.
But thank you so much for being
welcome.
a part of our 30 days to revolutionize your health. And I'm just going to say a benediction, and we just want to remind you on Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. is our next meeting. Dr. Devoy Murray is going to be presenting Unbreak My Heart. He is an anesthesiologist. He's actually one of my partners. He's a cardiovascular anesthesiologist. And we're going to talk all about heart disease, and which is still one of the, I think it's still the number one killer in this country. I don't think COVID overtook it. So we'll talk about heart disease, and we'll talk about hypertension as well. And we're always, whatever we do, we're going to touch on diet, because diet just, it covers everything. If you're not eating for life, then you're eating to die, and that's not good.
Might I add something real quickly? Might I add something?
Please.
In seeing your theme in revolutionizing your health, any revolution took drastic measures. So any revolution that happened, whether it was the French Revolution, the American Revolution, drastic measures had to be taken. And if your health is suffering because you've been doing things a certain way and it's not working, you're going to have to take some drastic measures to do things differently in order to get where you want to be.
Good
point. I just want to leave you with that. Good
point. So that's motivation. That's the encouragement that we needed tonight to get to move it, or moving. So Thank you so much once again for being with us. And let me just say a benediction, and we invite you to join us again. Of course, we have church on Sabbath morning at noon, and then Sabbath afternoon is going to, actually tomorrow night, we talked about the program that's going to be happening tomorrow night in person, Nedley's Depression and Anxiety Recovery Program at 6:30 at the church. It's an in-person program, and then followed by church on Sabbath at noon. And then we're going to have the presentation on Sabbath afternoon by Dr. Devoy Murray. So let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. Lord, we come before you just giving you thanks and praise once again, just for life and for health and for strength and just for how wonderfully you've made us. We want to ask you to give us the discipline that we need to make the changes in our lives that we need to make so that we can be healthier, so that we can be a better witness for you, so that we can feel better, and so that we can live longer, Lord. You want us to prosper and have good health now. And we want to prosper not only in our body, but in our mind and our spiritual health as well. And we know that when our bodies are better, when we're in better health, then we're going to feel better. We're going to think more clearly and make the right decisions, Lord. So thank you again for this session. Thank you for Mr. Davis. Continue to bless him in his practice, and may he have success, and help that we will honor you with our choices in terms of what we eat, and that we will endeavor to exercise more. And this is my prayer. We ask for forgiveness of sins, and that you would give us protection tonight and help us to have a good night's sleep. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.